Hello again, everyone, and welcome to our latest webcast that we're bringing you from Travel Weekly. I'm joined once again by Dame Irene Hayes, who is, of course, the owner of Hayes Travel. And I imagine pretty tired after a busy week, Irene. You've had a lot going on.
Yeah, well, firstly, I'm just an Irene. And yes, it's been a busy week, but to be honest, it's been a busy few weeks because we never intend that these things happen so close together.
Yeah.
But, you've got two parties to the transaction, and both parties need to be satisfied they're doing the right thing. So they're closer together than we would have wanted. So it makes things a bit busier towards the end, yes.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, you kept us very busy as well. But just to be clear for people who don't know, I can't believe anyone's missed this, but Hayes Travel has acquired this week Polka Travel in the Midlands and North Wales, and also Millington Travel, which is also in similar area. So just take us through it, Irene. Like these two, were they targets for you because you were looking to fill gaps in that area, or did they just come to you because they were looking for an exit? How did it come about?
Yeah, I mean, we've been speaking to Polka Dot for a long while, and we've long admired Polka Dot. They are a very strong company, and we have toed and froed in the past. And then I think, became ready to sell. And we'd always got on, even though it hadn't actually happened before. It had always been professional and courteous, and the time wasn't right for them, and the time then was right, and they came to us, and we moved it on. But we're absolutely delighted with Polka Dot and Millingtons, of course. But the Polka Dot, both of them, the owners just said that they were ready
Right.
to move on
But
to the next phase of their life.
so when you said you were toing and froing previously with Polka so that was one that you'd sort of had your eye on because you were impressed by the business, or?
But yeah, we were impressed by the business, yes, but they approached us then as well.
Oh,
But
right, okay.
sometimes we did the same with Bath Travel. I don't know whether you remember Bath Travel, but
Of course I do.
we've toed and froed. That was similar. Got close and then moved apart again, and it's sometimes just the way of things. But
Yeah,
no, in both situations, the owners approached us and asked us
yeah,
if we would like to acquire, and
yeah.
we're thrilled about both.
Yeah, and in both cases, the owners are moving on, which isn't always the way with your acquisitions. Sometimes you keep the management team in place. Well, you're keeping some managers, aren't they? Anyway, you're keeping all the staff on board.
Oh
So
yes.
just tell us about that, because you've added another 140 odd staff to your employment records, aren't you? So it's a lot of new people that you've taken on.
Yes, it is, but they have a lot of shops to run, and we're coming up to a busy period of time, I think, in January. So there's a lot to do between now and January, because they're all talented travel agents, but many of the systems and the way different travel agents work require training, and our training and development teams are with our new people now. But our new people are bright, but they want to practice. So it was essential, really, that we try to get this done as early in November as possible, so we could make that happen in
Yeah,
anticipation for January. But we have no problem with an additional number of staff. As you know, we've got a lovely training and development team,
yeah,
and really they've just down tools on the other things that they were doing and gone to spend time with our new
yeah,
colleagues, which is
yeah.
great.
Because you always do this, don't you? You put a team in place to go. I mean, I know training's part of it, but it's a team that goes straight in on the day, doesn't it, and starts working with the new acquisition.
Yeah, so the most important thing is that those our new people are reassured about
Yeah,
their jobs. And then we have lots of questions, as you can imagine, which are asked about the ways in which Hayes Travel might be different. And in many cases, we've been asked those questions before, but we take those incredibly seriously and spend as much time. Very often, the first day is an emotional day. they'll have worked with the owners of the business for some considerable time. And in that state of mind, it's not necessarily the best time for them to be asking the right questions. So it's important, not just on the day, but on the days afterwards,
Yeah.
that they have a conduit for those questions, and we respond to them quickly and get some reassurance.
Yeah.
And then in this particular case, our training and development teams will be on the case very quickly so that we get everybody comfortable
Yeah.
by the end of the
Yeah.
year.
And you mentioned there that some of these questions you're quite used to now. You've made quite a few acquisitions, so you probably know what is the biggest concern that perhaps they have that you have to then reassure over, or that you have to allay? Is it because they're from a much smaller organization going into a quite a big, well, very big, the biggest agency group? Is that the biggest thing they're worried about?
No, not at all. I think they're more worried, obviously, clearly, for a lot of people, their salary is crucial.
Yeah.
And we need to reassure people around that. And at the end of the day, what we are aiming for is harmonisation and equality for everybody across the Hayes Travel family, whatever brand they are. And that is our ambition. But in the first instance, people have commitments, they've got mortgages, babies,
Bills. Yeah.
so on. And that has to be probably the biggest concern for them. Is my job safe, and will I be able to pay the bills? And we try and answer that straight away. In every case that I can think of, the financial remuneration in Hayes Travel, it might be different, and the construct of it may be different, but in every situation, Hayes Travel will be paying more overall. And where that is not the case, let me give you an example. Say Miles Morgan. Miles Morgan had a scheme for its £1 million sellers, and Hayes Travel did not. And clearly that was a significant amount of remuneration within Miles Morgan, and we could either harmonise it by going into consultation and removing it, or what we actually did was expanded that from the relatively few people in Miles Morgan to everybody in the Hayes Travel family across the group.
So you now have the Miles Morgan sort of £1 million seller scheme across everything.
And that
Which I guess Millington and Polka Dot, if they don't have one, can now benefit from too, if they have sellers at that level.
Indeed they can. And I think that this shows that, it's not empty rhetoric when I say how much we learn and from other brands. We really, really do, and we really, really listen. And clearly we don't jump in and say, oh yes, let's just give all these people more money, because so we, as you can imagine, we're not renowned for being breathless. We do that very carefully and in a very considered way. But we believed that that was the right thing to do for the business, but our people. So that would be one example. But we like fair across the board. So
and how long on average then? I mean, or maybe you can't answer this because it's different for each one, but how long does it take to fully transition then into Hayes and be all on the same sort of even keel and everything? How long does that take on average?
The answer is generally a few months,
right.
But it depends on the complexity of the issue. I don't think we cracked the the £1 million seller one straight away.
Yeah.
But we did eventually, and it just meant that instead of tens of people getting that reward, hundreds of people now get that reward, and it's much appreciated by all the other staff. So they should
and presumably is quite motivational as well.
Yes, very motivational. So really they ought to be buying the Miles Morgan staff a drink out at conference.
They should. That's a great idea. But let's just talk, I mean, obviously that's where you're trying to standardize things, but I know when we talked to you when you made the acquisitions, you do talk about keeping the autonomy within, and obviously you keep the brands as well, because there's definitely some things that you want to keep specific to each business, and there's obviously stuff that can be shared. So just talk to us about the autonomy that they still retain.
So if they have relationships with, say, smaller suppliers, I mean, we have many relationships with small suppliers, niche suppliers, but if they've got a really long-standing relationship with a niche supplier, we will respect that and honour that, and they will continue to work very closely with that supplier in terms of the publications that they produce, in terms of the campaigns that they run at various times throughout the year. And that is very definitely autonomous to them. And
Yeah,
we respect that over multiple years. I mean, there are the odd other example, but that is the big one. And I think some people are worried that their supplier relationships are going to be subsumed within the commercial arrangements in Hayes Travel. And clearly, if it's a business benefit, that it is negotiated in head office, there isn't any question that we will say that's best negotiated here. But very often it's in the area of niche suppliers that they've worked with for more than, say, 20 years, and they want to continue to do that.
yeah. So in some cases that you will do the commercial terms from head office, and I imagine as the bigger you grow, Irene, you're able to command favorable terms which they can then benefit from. But you're saying if they do have very niche relationships which perhaps you're not working, then they can continue those.
Yeah, I mean, but we are open-minded, and I know I like all of the travel industry to do well. We do support a lot of niche suppliers in a lot of different ways if they've got good product, because how else would they grow and thrive
Yeah,
and flourish?
yeah,
So lots of evidence of that. But
yeah.
yeah, go on.
Well, I was going to say, because I think you're right, it has been broadly welcome, but there were a couple of agents saying, well, look, I'm sure that the independent these acquired companies will end up being guided towards Hayes preferred suppliers, and of course your own tour operation. We shouldn't forget that. So I mean, do you want to just address that if people think that might be what's going to happen?
Yeah, the first thing is that if we have preferred suppliers, I don't know about it. It's not an expression I like.
Okay.
Um, last time I checked, we had 620 suppliers, and some of them were
Wow.
very niche and very small. And we have a very good relationship with them. And I think we have a reputation for enjoying symbiotic relationships where it's a win-win for both parties. I don't see it as a badge of honour, and neither do our commercial team. That it's a case of a negotiation which is going to drive someone else's business into the ground. That isn't what our industry's about, and it certainly isn't what long-standing relationships are about.
Yeah, yeah. And what about but talk about then your own tour operation, Hayes tour operation. What will the Millington and Polka Dot and all the others that you've acquired, how will it work? I mean, presumably you want them to sell some of what you're putting together.
Yeah, they'll have an opportunity to access our product the same way that our home workers, our independence group, and our retail Hayes Travel branded retail colleagues will. But I know you know this, but we really are fiercely proud of the fact we are the UK's largest independent travel agents. And there's no way that I can stand up and say I'm proud of that if we're not being exactly that thing. So we are ferociously independent. And if Vista, our tour operation, has a fantastic offer on in Thailand, and an agent, be they from a brand or be from Hayes Travel, thinks that's great, they'll book it. If they think they can get a better deal from another tour operator, they are asked, trained to listen to the customer and give the customer the best available deal. Vista is not the best available deal everywhere in the world. On occasion it is, but you have specialists out there who are very, very good at what they do. And we are really realistic about Vista and what it can
Yeah.
do. We
Yeah.
would never force categorically. We would not
Yeah.
ever
So they can
force.
still sell what is right for that customer. Everybody
Absolutely.
in Hayes Travel. Yeah. And what,
Absolutely.
what what level is Vista at now? Just before we move on from that, like is this how much what proportion of your business is your own tour operation?
A very appropriate level of business, thank you.
I'm sure you always sure I don't know why I bothered. I think I remember that answer from every other time I've asked it. Good, appropriate. You're happy with it. That's fine. I'm not going to get any further. Irene, just before we move on, your team you're putting in place, presumably, are you having to increase your head office team alongside these acquisitions, or are they, because the more you acquire, do you have to then get more people to help sort of support them and service them?
No, very often we can either accommodate it, but we want to keep the jobs that were there already doing those roles, and that we take every opportunity to encourage those people not to come in and not just to come in and work with Hayes Travel, but to flourish. And we've got lots of examples for people who came in, from Thomas Cook or Miles
Yeah,
Morgan, and we want them to succeed. So the first option is we'll watch it and see how it goes. I don't think for this number of stores and this number of people, and clearly we, ask our salaries and wages people, are you going to be okay with this additional? And they go, oh yeah, no problem, it'll be fine. And
do
then
they?
if we operate, yeah, and then if we operate and then find that that's not the case, then we'll grow it. But
Okay.
the first call is the people who come into us from those other brands. And we've honestly got some fantastic people. And whenever we're promoting in Hayes Travel, we are 100% agnostic. We just don't
Yeah.
care where the
But you look
talent.
you look internally and you try and offer people
Yeah,
opportunities to grow. So
yeah.
actually that's another plus, isn't it, for the acquired businesses that they may have not seen an
Oh yeah,
opportunity and now they could go all over the place within Hayes, I guess.
they can. And if they're young and ambitious, they do. I've got hundreds of
Yeah.
examples
Yeah.
of people who have come in, and as I say, we're totally agnostic about where the talent comes from.
Where they've been, if they've not been a Hayes Travel person, it wouldn't matter.
Yeah.
And what about with apprentices, Irene? Because obviously that's a huge thing for you. If you're acquiring businesses that haven't got an apprentice scheme, can they now benefit from your apprentices? Has that happened at all, where you've managed to put
Oh
apprentices
yeah.
into the
Yeah, I mean, in Miles Morgan, for example, Miles Morgan didn't have apprentices, and now they have
yeah,
apprentices,
yeah,
and clearly it's part of our passion in Hayes Travel is to give back to community, and one way of doing that is encouraging young people and giving them a fantastic training and an opportunity to flourish in, this fantastic industry. So yes, they'll have an opportunity to do that,
yeah.
and
That's another good.
that, yeah, and we'll
It's another
probably.
benefit that your benefits that are going both ways. Just talk to me about, people have written off the high street. Um, this would, the fact that you're continuing to invest in the high street. I mean, it's great that people have got an option if they want to get, move on from their business, but it does prove, doesn't it, that travel agents are really viable. And, just tell me about it, because there's still people that perhaps suggest that they're on the decline.
Well, no, I mean, all of the research, and I mean all of the research. Let me take the two big ones. Barclaycard claim that members of the public using travel agents has increased by 4.6 or 4.8. And then if you look at the ABTA,
Yeah.
their 2025 data that they just shared out at conference, they're saying it's 5. So there's not much between those two. And that's on the back of similar research last year, which said 3.9 and 4.1 growth. Now, you can do the math on the cumulative impact on the whole of the travelling public. That is a big number of people who are returning to travel agents for all of the factors that we know: value
Yeah.
for money, trust, reliability, someone to go to when things go wrong. So that this isn't me saying that. If you go to the big boys who are producing the research, it is evident
Yeah. And is that
that
what gives you the confidence to keep acquiring?
yes, obviously, but I also think whilst we'll learn a lot from the likes of Polka and Millington, there are things that we could do within that existing business anyway, and there's things they can do the other way for us. So it's a combination of the two, but all of the evidence is suggesting that despite all the rhetoric about AI, people like booking with people, face to face. So that's what the evidence is showing recently.
Yeah.
The two are not too dissimilar, are they? The Barclaycard and Barclaycard research is fantastic.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you mentioned AI there. You've just got your new, I mean, I wasn't going to ask you about that. You've reminded me because you've got your new AI guy on your board, and because obviously you want to be still looking at that, but how it can work within your business in tandem with your people.
Yes, it's amazing. I mean, oh, my lights have just gone
It's
out.
all right, they're back
Um,
again. They're back.
he came to his first board meeting and he has three brains. There's no question about it. And he is dying to help us with that. But we've got some interesting news at conference as well for our managers around AI, which we are very excited about. So whilst you know, at the moment, I think it's fair to say in Hayes Travel, we are well developed in AI in relation to home working, say, and different types of technology, which we've been piloting for some years. I would say at the moment that's in silos and we don't have a coherent strategy, which is what Mosen Gasimpur will help us with, and that's
Yeah,
what it's done for publicly listed buildings, repeated buildings, publicly listed companies
businesses. Yeah,
repeatedly.
yeah,
So yeah,
yeah. Okay. All right. Well, as soon as you can share, or maybe we'll hear something from conference next week. I will talk to you about conference, but I'm just conscious you've got 1 minute left. Just before on the acquisitions, Irene, you know I'm going to ask you this. How many more are on your desk? How many, are I know you're always saying you'll keep looking at everyone. Do we think we'll see
yeah,
any more acquisitions before the end of the year?
yeah, and maybe you know, a small one maybe in the very near future. Um,
I'm
but
really busy tomorrow. You're not going to do it tomorrow, are you?
no, that's a categorical no. If we're not going
Okay,
to do it
thank
tomorrow,
God.
but
I'm freer
no,
next week. That's fine.
yeah, but no, as always, you know, the deal isn't done until the deal's
Yeah,
done.
yeah,
And whenever we do this, we are subject to a non-disclosure agreement. And I'm trying to not give you the answer I always give you, which is we'll let you know as soon as
yeah.
it's done. You know,
I know.
I'm trying not to say
I,
that
I
because I've
know you're
said
not
it.
going to tell me specifics, but the fact is you are open. I mean, and you will keep acquiring, I guess, if it's right for them and right for you.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So there's no, I mean, I guess people are, because whilst it's clearly positive for the high street, it's positive for the industry that you're caring about the future of the industry and you want to keep it alive. There will be some people, I'm sure, that are worried that you are taking over the world, Irene.
Absolutely not. You just got to look at the actual figures to see the people who are taking over the world, and it certainly isn't his travel. In fact,
Okay.
you know, I think 10% growth in a year, which is where we're at, double-digit growth. I know it's good on a company for our size, but at the same time, you know, certain parts of towns and cities go backwards, and or there's problems with the stores. So yes, there are new stores coming in, but there are always situations where we need to close or relocate stores. And I think because the big news story is always the acquisitions, sometimes that's forgotten. So we're not as big as people think we are. And all you have to do is go on the Civil Aviation Authority website and look at the top ATOL holders and see. I mean, they're sending. I don't have to tell you who they are,
I
who
know.
the big
I
ones
know.
are.
Yeah, I
So I
know.
think it's a perception thing that because they're not growing on the high
But
street,
most of
they're
those,
growing
yeah,
online. it's
Yeah.
masked. It's
Yeah,
masked.
60 Expedia. You're talking about the Expedias and the booking. I know what you mean. Okay. All right. So we need to put more focus on them, you think? But we like talking to you. All right. I know you've got to go. One quick whet our appetite. What's the conference going to be like? You're off to Greece. Tell us what we've got in store. What you can.
Um, it's high content this year, really high content, really exciting, important content. But clearly, as you well know, the highlight will be the staff karaoke and the suppliers.
Oh yeah,
Heaven help
exactly.
us.
Hayes
And
Travel's got talent. And presumably Millington and Polka Dot too late to get them out there because I know you had Miles Morgan out last year, but maybe too
no, it's
soon.
not. No, it's
Oh,
not. We haven't got all of the managers out because all of the managers need to stay and train. But
right.
we have taken, we will take next week key people from
Nice.
both, and I'm delighted about that. I'm just hugely excited about this year's
I
conference.
know, I'm
Apart
sure.
from the fans, I'm a bit worried about the fancy dress night, but that aside, all is well.
Well, I want to see pictures of that. And I'd love to chat to you again, perhaps before we get to January to see, to talk about the training. We haven't got time today. I'm really grateful for your time. I know you've got a big week next week, so thank you and best of luck. I know it'll be an amazing conference. They always are really good
Yeah.
fun. So
All right.
have a great time. We'll see you soon.
Okay, bye. Bye,
Bye,
Lucy.
Irene. Thank you.